there's no nice way to put it, Jake. When you watch the film, it looks like you just don't have the old Christian McCaffrey, and you definitely don't have the old Deebo Samuel. So where should we start in trying to highlight what's gone wrong with these two star players for the 49ers?
I think we start with McCaffrey because the Deebo thing is pretty obvious, and we'll get into how obvious it is. But let's start with McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is the one where, right, we talked about it. It was a season where fundamentally you said, okay, well, McCaffrey better save this season or they are cooked, right?
Yep.
And McCaffrey is not fundamentally elevating the offense. He in the terms of the pass game, no question, they have missed him monumentally. But in the run game, I think he's been a step down from Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerendo. And when you look at this one, this is a play where this is where he's supposed to go. No question. He's supposed to go right here. There, I think it's what is it? Aaron Banks is having a hard time, and
What's
he's
new?
supposed to fill. And then Ernest Jones just makes an incredible play. He's sick, by the way. Somebody said he wasn't an improvement over Jerome Baker. Sorry,
Would
I
not
get
have
to
been
laugh.
us. Wouldn't have been us.
Get to laugh at that now. This is you watch number 13 here. He's just going to get around Trent Williams. He's also got a sick like swag where he's just got a giant elbow brace, and he's just everything is huge on him, and he just gets around Trent Williams and blows up this play. I mean, Aaron
Jake,
Banks right here.
what about this hole right here?
Yeah, that's why the title of this is Christian McCaffrey no cutback, because listen, he's supposed to go where he's supposed to go, but there's a gaping hole that he has time and usually has the confidence and ability to just hit it. And
do you think
he
he's not
doesn't.
seeing it, or do you think he can't get to it?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's if you go back to the other angle, it's not just like as gaping as it looks. I mean, it's a huge hole. It's a huge hole.
I'm sorry. I can run through
Yeah.
that hole, Jake.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And I think he's also looking at 91 on Brendel and thinking, okay, again, this is split second, but 91 on Brendel has leverage going that direction. And so he's thinking maybe he'd get to him. But if you're Christian McCaffrey, you should be able to beat 91. Actually, there's no reason.
There's no leverage at all, Jake.
Yeah.
He just misses it catastrophically. I mean, everyone's doing their jobs here more or less. Now, you can argue that Banks, who's up here against 97, is maybe holding a bit. Saubert's holding his block pretty well. Trent at least has hands on Jones. McKivitz on the back.
Trent doesn't get hands on Jones, which I mean,
he has him here.
Hands on him, but
it wouldn't be an issue if Christian McCaffrey's over here by then.
Right. There's a cutback angle for him to cut it that way, and he doesn't. And I think that speaks to one of the main issues with the run game is that this is actually a play it's not blocked great, but there are options, right? And he doesn't take the one option. And see, this is he's already decided by the time Brendel gets, out leveraged here. So it's just something where he spoke to it, and you see it on film that he's not making incredible plays happen. And I know that's a pretty simple, straightforward analysis. This isn't like a great scheme play, but this is McCaffrey not saying, oh, I'm going to cut it back this way. And you paid him, your season sort of relies on him. And
he has the ball right here at the mesh point. Deebo's coming around on an orbit motion. You have two unblocked safeties. Okay, that's how it goes. This should be 10 yards. It just from where he stands, he should be 10 yards down the field on this play. Yep. This was blocked for a chunk. And instead it's a 1 or 2 yard gain.
Yep. Stuff.
That's a tough look. And there's been a lot of those this year. You mentioned the quality in the passing game, Jake. Like what is that? Is that just simply forcing teams to not play man-to-man all the time?
Yeah, and the fact that like every time there's anything on a third down or a short play, you're going to get him on an option. He's going to catch 5 yards. So you can sort of rely on that. But in terms of his explosiveness and in terms of him trusting what he sees and just, making a play out of something that's minimal used to be what separated him. And the 49ers got a lot of that from Jordan Mason this year. And Isaac Guerendo, his speed allows him to compensate for a lack of vision. And McCaffrey, I don't think in the run game is doing that. And he admitted that for the most part after the game. And then this is just, I think
This is
everyone's
the other
pointed
side of
out,
it, right? Like
this is
Deebo
Deebo.
Samuel it's one thing if you don't have Christian McCaffrey. And I think we can all give some deference to the fact that Christian McCaffrey's coming off of a big injury and that he's, going to need some time to round into his form if he can find his form again. The idea is that you have Deebo Samuel too. The reason they got Christian McCaffrey in the first place is because Deebo Samuel, it was a point of diminishing returns for him. Defenses weren't as afraid of him anymore. You go and get McCaffrey. Now you have both of them and Kittle. Now you have versatility all over the field, except this isn't versatile. This is just bad running back play.
Listen, this is almost every time Deebo gets the ball. Listen, it's not like there's not a guy coming right at him, but Deebo in the past used to be able to block it, he used to break at least one tackle every single time he touched the ball. And when he got to the edge, he could cut it, but he's like, and boy, Amafe quick. McCaffrey's not doing much. This is like a really tough situation, but he stops his feet and he just gets got by the safety. Whereas in the past, he could hesitate, keep his feet moving, and he had enough speed to get to the outside, and he doesn't have that. There are other examples that we have queued up. This is not a one-time thing, just to show you, like, yeah, there's a safety coming at him, but Deebo stops his feet and just takes a shot. Yeah. So this is time after time with him, and you go back to this game. This is going to be against Tampa, and there's multiple times against Tampa where he gets the ball, and it looks just like that. This one is one of the worst I've seen from him all season in terms of vision and speed, and he just runs straight into Kyle Juszczyk. And you'll watch number 44, just like he's pretty pissed.
Yeah, this is him.
Like he's doing his job, and Deebo runs into his ass.
It's rough. It's a tough scene. Kittle has a good block there. Juice has a good block there. Well, Kittle loses him a little bit, right? Where are you going?
Right, but he's got enough of a hole, and then Deebo just runs straight into Juice. Like it's just tough.
It's useless.
It's. I think a lot of it is the side to side. I think going straight, he's still got a little pop, but anything like cutting, it's just
there's no lateral. This is
and there's one more against the Bucks.
We saw this with Klay Thompson in the Warriors, right? He comes in off these injuries, just takes a lick and gets to a point in career. He doesn't have that lateral movement anymore. I mean, at this point, an old Deebo Samuel bounces it inside, right? He sees that Juice is going to carry Levante David in, and now he's one-on-one with the safety, number 3 here. And that's a play that you like his chances on.
Yep.
That's not what you like your chances with. You don't like him running into the fullback.
Yeah, and there's one more from the Bucks. There's just countless examples of, listen, Deebo's whole thing was turning a run that should have been negative 3 yards into like a 5-yard gain. And it's not even close to that.
There is a level of the blocking not being as good as it once was.
Oh, it's not good. The blocking's not good. I'm not even arguing that. I'm just saying the standard we've come to expect from Deebo is to make something out of nothing, and he does not have that in his bag right now. He just doesn't have like the speed to get outside.
He's getting chased down by 43 here.
Yeah.
In the backfield.
Again, it's 43's coming for him, but Deebo doesn't have the juice to just cut inside or beat guys to the edge, and he's had that every year I can remember watching him, even when he wasn't at his best. And it, what was it, 2022, 23?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. He came in overweight. I think it was 2022. He came in out of shape after his contract year.
But this is not a new development either. Post pneumonia, like this is something that's been
right
all season.
And again, once again, these are not well blocked plays. That's been a problem with the 49ers. But their whole philosophy is we're not going to invest in O-line because our skill position players can make things happen. And Deebo's not doing that, and McCaffrey doesn't look quite like himself. And so when your offensive line is a group that you haven't invested a whole lot in and does have issues, every single game they have issues and inconsistencies, and you get behind the sticks and you can't rely on your playmakers to turn nothing into something, then you have to out scheme people and win other ways, and they're not really doing that either. This, I will say, I've criticized the offensive line and its protections. I've been very harsh on that all season long. This was one I really liked from them. This was one of the best protections I've seen from them all year. As clean a pocket as you'll get against a 6-man blitz. It's not the blitzes that we said they need to worry about, where it's an overload to one side and they get simulated pressure and peel off the other side into coverage. But it's really, really well handled. And I thought if there was any bright spot from the game, at least in the first half, I thought they handled stuff pretty well.
That's pretty good right there. That's 5 hats on hats. And then here's McCaffrey. That's 6.
Right. And
that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah. And McCaffrey, listen, like he's not been elevated in the run game, but in the pass game, yes, he's the most reliable pass protector. He does everything you want. He can run every route in the route tree. He will win almost every single time on an option route, except the one time Brock Purdy threw it to him when he was absolutely clamped and it turned into an interception. But like that's why Kyle is like, well, we got to have him in there every single play because he is Christian McCaffrey, even if he's not breaking stuff in the run game.
Watch Deebo Samuel on this play though. This highlights again the lack of juice, the lack of explosion. Muddy coming out of his break. I mean, not really any chance of winning. I know that the ball's not coming his way. Yep. And you see Brock Purdy here look at what I imagine his first option was on the play, which is Ricky Pearsall, and decide now we're not going to throw that because even though right here you can make that throw, you also kill him.
No, that's a pick or yeah, you can't make that throw.
You can deliver that ball if you got a rope. If you got a rope of an arm, you can deliver that throw, but you don't.
Because no, I don't think you can throw that. I
don't. Let us know in the comments. Do you think you could throw it right here?
No.
So he throws it to Jennings.
20. Julian Love's sitting on that. He can't throw it.
Okay. Listen, I'm not saying he should have thrown it. I'm just saying, can you throw it? Because that was your only other option when you consider what's happening
the
on
only way
you can here.
The only way you can do it is if you have an understanding with him and you throw it where he basically flips around and he's catching it and he's not taking a shot into his head.
If he sat. But no, I again, this is only to highlight Saubert never stood a chance. And Deebo, I mean, look at how muddy this is.
Right. Pearsall's doubled. Deebo's not separate an inch.
So now you're throwing it top of your
This is what you're trying to get to. This is the only read. The only read is Jennings.
And look at how well covered Jennings is. Like he gets an inch because he's a good wide receiver.
And that's his thing. That's the thing. And he gets it done.
This is great protection. But this is when we talk about the Niners and nothing looks easy for them. This is as good of a play as they've run. This is exactly what you're drawing up when you're talking about protections. And you got too high, right? Like that's going to happen a lot. So you can't throw that ball down the middle to Pearsall unless that route's a little bit shorter, which it wasn't. I don't know what the route was supposed to be, but like I'm with you. I think that's a dangerous ball. But you have nothing on the left side because you have Eric Saubert, who apparently was a pass-catching tight end. Could have fooled me. You have Deebo Samuel, who can't separate from anybody unless he runs the drag route over the middle. And so you're throwing it to Juwan Jennings, who is currently being accosted by a man.
Right.
But still makes the catch.
And you've lost Ayuk, and you didn't have Kittle in this game. And so you get to a point where the Niners are a team where at times it has looked so easy, so in rhythm that, you have a run game that's stretch outside zone and it sets up play action and you get wide open throws and everything's easy. And we're at a point with this offense where every single snap is a battle. And it's just, if one thing goes wrong, and usually it's back-to-back things, like where they were at the 2-minute warning and it ended up in a 1st and 25.
Right.
They can't overcome things like that anymore. And, they're getting into the toughest part of their schedule. And I liked where their protections were for the most part in this game, but they're going to need more than just decent protections if they're going to beat Green Bay.
They scored 17 points against the Seattle Seahawks defense. It's not a great defense. It doesn't have the personnel. Well coordinated, but it doesn't have the personnel. 17 points. They had 7 offensive penalties in that game. Like, when it's that hard to do it when you do it right, you can't also be kicking, shooting yourself in the foot. And this team so desperately needs a run game that can present a real threat. And as we just went through in Jake's film room here, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, neither of them are getting the job done in that department right now. And it makes Brock Purdy's job all the harder. And even when he gets the perfect protection, when everything lines up just right, it's still only getting through on a margin, a tight margin.
Everything's tough.
Dangerous stuff. Wasn't tough doing this video with you, though, Jake. Appreciate your insight as always. We'll do it again soon.